like to call to order the Liberal City Commission meeting for this Tuesday, March the 14th. Can we have roll call, please?
Mayor Dwyer.
Here.
Vice Mayor Martinez.
Here.
Commissioner Carlisle.
Here.
Commissioner Harrison.
Here.
And Commissioner Aragon.
Here.
Quorum is present.
All right. Will you please join me in standing for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for the invocation as given by Reverend Kevin Alexander of New Beginnings Church. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's pray. Father God, we thank you for the many freedoms you have given us. God, we thank you for your love, grace, and mercy most of all, though. God, I thank you for the blessings you're pouring out on our community. God, I thank you that that you love the people of our community, God, and may all the best blessings glorify you. God, during this time, Lord, with the fires recently, we thank you for that no one was injured here, God, but we pray for rain in our community as is desperately needed. God, bless those that are making decisions. God, give them godly wisdom just as you did Solomon. In the name of Jesus we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.
All right, our first item on the agenda tonight is awards, proclamations, and presentations. Seeing none, we'll move on to the approval of the agenda. Are there any additions or deletions from the agenda? If not, I'd ask for a motion to approve as presented.
Your Honor, I make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Motion by Commissioner Harrison. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Aragon. Any discussion on the agenda? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Next item up on the agenda is agenda item number 3, which are the minutes, the approval of the February 28th, 2017 regular meeting and the March 9th, 2017 special meeting minutes. Any additions or corrections to those minutes?
Correction to the March 9th. It shows I was present and I was not.
Any additional corrections? If not, I'd call for a motion as amended.
Your Honor, I make a motion we approve the February 28th, 2017 regular meeting as presented and the March 9th, 2017 special meeting as amended.
Motion by Commissioner Carlisle. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Vice Mayor Martinez. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Next item on the agenda is items from citizens. Are there any citizens in the audience that would like to address the commission on non-agenda items? All right. Please come forward, sir. And as you're coming forward, I'll state the rules of the commission. Rules of the commission. Any citizen desiring to address the commission shall be recognized by the chair, advance to the podium and state his and her name and address in an audible tone for the record. Presentation shall be limited to 5 minutes unless extended by a vote of the majority of the commission. The commission does not hear matters involving litigation or city personnel. The commission does not take action on subjects not on the agenda unless unusual or hardship conditions exist. Citizens may address the commission on agenda items as they are brought to the floor. All right, please state your name and address, sir.
Donald Rash, 461 Harold, Liberal, Kansas.
Thank you, sir. Go ahead.
Have we got the TVs on and all?
I believe we have the picture on.
Gentlemen,
In the audio.
Commissioners,
Audio is working?
Mayor,
We'll try.
I wanted to put this in your agenda, but I didn't receive it till Monday, and you had already received your agenda. So I'd like to pass it on. It's about our Little Air Museum and what some people think of it, and what some people are proud of, and what some of them are not. But I'm here also to tell you that 7 men, and one lady, 26 years ago, started this museum. They were leaders in the community. We got together. My job was to go to the Smithsonian's and find out why or how to build a museum. And while I was there with the director, I found out that he didn't need any more mom and pop operations. He said, we got enough of it. I said, well, you don't understand the people of Liberal, Kansas. We're not building you a mom and pop operation. We're gonna build you the greatest, the biggest, the largest, and the educational aviation museum for Kansas and Liberal Kansas. A quality of life that we need sometime. So, 26 years ago, we've accomplished that. I think it's a very nice museum out there. The foundation wants you to understand that we're here to support you in any way we can. We have some programs that we want to bring in, such as the dinosaur programs, such as those programs that we've done in the past for educational purposes. We're going to have the robotics program coming up this month, and it'll bring in a lot of people. Some people doesn't realize the importance of the quality of life that we support here in the town. But I think that the city does an outstanding job of giving us that support. And we want the foundation to know, we want you to know that the foundation is going to back you in any way we can in your search for a new director. And anytime that we can help you, feel free to do it. And I appreciate everything that you've done. The foundation appreciates everything that you've done in the past. So please, call on us. We'd like to do as good a search and as good and as fast a approach, because we've got these programs that we need to get done. Thank you very much. Any questions? But I'm proud that I'm a part of and have been for a number of years.
We're proud that you have been part of it, Don. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Don.
Yeah.
Just let us
Thanks.
know, we're here. We got these new programs that are ready to come. They're ready to come out, and we've already missed one, but we're ready to go again. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. And just as a reminder, the robotic competition is next Saturday at the Air Museum. We'll start, I believe, Nancy, 8 o'clock in the morning. And we'll have teams from 4 different states with not only the teams, but their coaches, their parents, their support. It's good for Liberal. So I'd encourage the commission to come out and either volunteer or just as time allows, come and watch this competition.
And that is the 25th.
Right, next Saturday, the 25th, yes. So, all right, any other citizens like to address the commission on non-agenda items? Moving on, agenda item number 5, items from groups. Are there any groups that would like to address the commission on non-agenda items? Seeing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Agenda item number 6. All items listed are considered to be routine by the City Commission and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a commission member or citizen so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered in its normal sequence on the agenda. We have consent agenda 6A, which is approval of cereal malt beverage licenses for TK's and for U Pump It.
Your Honor, I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Harrison with a second by Commissioner Carlisle. Any further discussion on the consent agenda? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Next item on the agenda is agenda item number 7, an amended ordinance number 4472, annexation of 3 tracts north of Tucker Avenue. Mr. Kirk.
Mayor and Commissioner, good evening. This is the amended ordinance annexing land into the city of Liberal. The original ordinance was approved and adopted October 16, 2016, and was found to have legal description errors later. The 3 tracts have been resurveyed and corrections have been made to the legal description. The requested approval and adoption of the amended ordinance number 4472 would annex 3 tracts of land prescribed in KSA 1520 for building a hotel in Bristol. The parcels are listed below. There's 3 tracts listed on your memo as well. It is city staff's recommendation for City Commission to adopt the ordinance number 4472 for the 3 tracts listed north of Tucker Avenue.
Any questions for Mr. Kirk? This isn't going to hold anything up to correct this error, correct? Right, and on future tracks, can we please be diligent and have our engineers be diligent in crossing our i's and dotting our t's. I would appreciate, because we've run into this a time or two, so definitely appreciate that.
Your Honor, I make a motion, we amend the ordinance number 4472 for the annexation of 3 tracts north of Tucker Avenue.
Second.
A motion by Commissioner Carlisle, and a second by Commissioner Aragon. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Kevin. Next item on the agenda is agenda item number 8, which is resolution number 2258, calling for a public hearing on the advisability of creating the North Liberal Redevelopment District in the city of Liberal pursuant KSA 12-1770 et sec. Go ahead, Jeff.
It's a lot.
It is.
Mayor and Commissioners, tonight we start the public portion of a project that's been underway for probably over a year or two, maybe even close, with some resolutions calling for public hearings, and the first of those is a public hearing for the creation of a redevelopment district. This is for Pinnacle Developments, and we've got representatives from Pinnacle. Tom Willis, Emerald Sammy is here, along with their attorney, Aaron Fitz. Aaron would like to do just a brief presentation to go along with the redevelopment district, and maybe answer a question or two if you have those. So I'm going to defer to him and let him make his presentation.
Thank you, Jeff.
See if I can make this work. That'll be the first test.
So far, so good.
Better than I would have thought. Thank you, Mayor and members of the Commission. I'm Evan Fitz with Polsonelli Law Firm in Kansas City, here tonight on behalf of Pinnacle Developments, the developer of this proposed project. We're calling it the North Liberal Commercial Project, not exactly the most exciting name, but I guess it describes where it's at and what's going on. The purpose of the presentation tonight is to provide you some background and information on what we're doing. As Jeff just said, tonight is not the public hearing. We're calling the public hearing for a month or so from now. Because of that, I'd like to just tell you what's going on and open it up. I'm happy to answer any questions you have tonight. If things come up between now and then, we want to make sure that you're satisfied with what we're proposing. I'll answer anything that you want to pass on through Mark or Jeff. The goal is to give you something that you're proud of and that meets the needs of the city. So with that, just to describe the boundaries of the project that we're talking about tonight, in the theme of sticking with great names, up at the north side of the slide there is what we're calling the triangle parcel, and then wrapping down around 83 over to the Bartell parcel. The triangle parcel comprises the first phase of development that we're proposing here, which is currently an 82-room comfort suites, as well as a 5,500 square foot Old Chicago Pizza. There is space down at the south end of the site there for an additional user. We had one identified, but I guess fortunately for the city, but not so fortunately for us, they decided to locate in another place within the city. We continue to pursue a comparable type of user there, a national level, probably restaurant chain, maybe coffee shop. Given the size of that site, it's not exactly that big, so we have to find something that fits there. As you wrap over to the Bartell parcel, we've not identified users for this site, but the goal of what we're trying to do with all of these approvals that we're asking you to participate in is set up an environment here that's going to capitalize on all the activity going on this side of the city. It's obviously immediately adjacent to the Walmart. There's the Applebee's there. There's the IHOP going in. By the time you add a hotel and another restaurant, a lot of things going on there. We hope to be able to attract, given the great location of that site, the accessibility to the highway there, we hope to be able to attract more national level tenants, the type of people who are new to the city, new to the area, that will draw people in from outside of the city and that will present a nice appearance there at the very north end, the north entrance to the city. So we're very excited about that, and the things that we're doing here tonight are to try to set up an economic environment to make that possible. This model, if you're familiar, was used at the Shulman Crossing project in Garden City, as well as the Stone Creek project, Sammy's project there, the hotel and water park. I worked on both of those projects, and we saw this work very well at a time when the national economy was really down. There's such a strong retail pull in this area. A lot of people are willing to drive to come to places that they don't get to see every day. And so if you set things up appropriately, it's a great place for people to come in and do business and be very successful at it. So the purpose of what we're doing here tonight specifically, and over the next several meetings where we'll have a number of items before you, is a public-private partnership through which we're requesting the city to provide incentive support, as you're allowed to do under Kansas law, in support of this project. This is something that I know the city has done recently with another hotel and conference center project in the city. So not entirely dissimilar from what you've previously seen there, maybe some tweaks here or there. The goal is to do, obviously on our end, to do a quality project, something that we're very proud of, but we do believe that it achieves some public goals, which is the reason that you would consider something like this. It fosters increased commerce and development up at that critical corner of the city. It attracts new businesses, new projects that might not ordinarily come absent a structure like this. It creates a long-term asset that will generate future tax revenues. And then, of course, hard to quantify, but I think we'd all agree that there is spin-off economic benefit from these types of things. There's out-of-town visitation, there's jobs, there's increased commercial demand, increased housing demand. And then I kind of threw this one in there because I saw it take place on the projects that I referenced in Garden City, sort of a national branding. You know, you get one of these national retailers that comes in and all of a sudden it adds validity to somebody coming in and taking another site. So all very important here. It's been used very successfully. I don't know a lot about the project that you've dealt with here in the city, but I know it's underway and going forward, and I'm sure you're proud of it. It's been used successfully there. It's been used very successfully around the state of Kansas. I've worked on a number of these projects in Kansas City as well as everywhere across the state. And so this is just another one that I'm excited to work on. The proposed tools that we're going to use here, one of them I understand you're not very familiar with. 3 of them may be pretty familiar with. First, tax increment financing, or TIF. Second, community improvement district financing, or CID. Third, a rebate of the transient guest taxes. And fourth, a sales tax exemption on construction materials. I'll kind of go through each of those very quickly here. I understand that there is not a TIF project within the city, so I thought it might be productive if I spent just 1 minute here explaining it. If you have any questions, honestly, feel free to just stop me and ask. I'm happy to explain. The purpose of a TIF is to divert incremental property and city sales taxes that are generated on a project. What they mean by incremental in the statute is you take what's occurring there currently in terms of tax revenue and what will occur there after redevelopment, and the difference between the two is the increment. Obviously, there's not a lot of economic activity on the site. It's minimal in terms of taxes. There's no sales taxes, nothing going on. But just by way of example, if a property generated $30 in taxes before redevelopment and $100 after, the increment that you can capture and apply to project costs is that $70 difference. The term of the TIF is 20 years after the activation of the project plan, or earlier termination after repayment of the project costs, and I'll get to that here in a minute, how that might work. You use it to finance the redevelopment of property. I say that's blighted. The true word is that it's statutorily eligible. There's 3 or 4 different criteria in the statute. One of them is blight. One of them is a conservation area. Then there's some flooding criteria. None of those apply here. We're going to use the finding of blight. When you typically think of blight, what do you think of? You think of a rotting out old building on a property. That building is blighted, it needs to be taken down and redeveloped. Obviously, this is vacant ground, so that's not the case here. But I did want to point out At the public hearing, we'll present to you a blight study that makes the required statutory findings. We vetted it with your city's legal team, that your outside bond counsel, and they feel that it passes the test. It's ultimately for you to decide, but the statute speaks to a number of things in addition to, old falling down buildings. For example, insufficient infrastructure, economic obsolescence. I think the point is here, this property is not what it could be. Could be something much better, and we plan to use this tool to make it that. The proceeds of TIF, the increment that I mentioned, can only be used on what we call horizontal costs. So infrastructure, street improvements, utilities, things like that. You cannot use it on vertical costs or buildings. So it's important to understand that the public money being redirected is solely to pay to make the ground ready for somebody to build something. The approval process is twofold. The first is the approval of a geographic district. So in this case, the district will be comprised of both the Triangle parcel and the Bartel parcel. That's what we're calling the hearing for tonight. After you have approved the district at your meeting on the 25th of April, the meeting we're calling tonight, we would come back and have a project plan approved. The project plan is the thing that actually activates all of this TIF. And from now, we're going to focus on the first phase, the Triangle parcel, because we know what's happening there and it's effectively ready to go. When we come back and we have people identified to take the property in the Bartel parcel, then we'll ask for another project plan approval at that time. Why TIF and not property taxes? If you kind of gather, one of the big purposes here is to redirect property taxes. So you could say, why wouldn't we just abate it, as I know you have done in other projects? The abatement really works well for a single user or single owner asset. That's not exclusively how you would do it. But for example, if we were just doing the hotel here and we knew that the development team was going to own that indefinitely, we might pursue an abatement. But in a project like this, it's very likely that ownership could be broken up over time. You could have, we showed 6 pad sites, for example, on the Bartel property, so it's unlikely that we will own all of those things. So in order to give us the benefit up front of doing the things that are necessary to make this development possible, we want to use the TIF and lock up our own rights in that moving forward. These three, the CID, transient guest tax, and sales tax exemption, I won't spend as much time here. I know you're familiar and have recently approved them. The CID allows for an additional sales tax of up to 2%. I know your other CID is a 2%. We are actually proposing only a 1% CID. The transient guest tax rebate, it's set forth in a city policy. You can have up to 15 years of rebate to offset costs associated with the conference center. We do include here in our hotel a 180-seat capacity conference center. So we are proposing to use the transient guest tax rebate to repay a portion of those costs. Sales tax exemption through the industrial revenue bond program. I know on your other project, you use that to provide tax abatement as well as a sales tax exemption. Here, we would just use it to provide a sales tax exemption on our construction materials and outfitting. Again, no property tax abatement, that's already handled in the TIF. A few general things that I wanted to point out, these are all very important. Nothing that we're proposing involves any credit support from the city or backing by the city. There's no bonds being issued. Any revenues taken in by the project will be taken as generated, or what they call pay-as-you-go under the statute. The dedicated 0.5% city sales tax that was approved a couple of years ago to repay school bonds is not captured here. It's held harmless by the TIF. Actually, with the new sales that will be occurring on the project, the revenues generated for that dedicated sales tax will go up. I mentioned this a minute ago. All terms of these incentives will be set forth in a development agreement that we will negotiate with your city management and legal team that will be presented to you next month. It will include such things, among anything else that you want to ask for. It will include a limitation on the use of the transient guest tax for the conference center costs, as is identified in your policy. It'll limit the maximum amount of CID reimbursement, as is stated in your CID policy. It'll provide for payment of the city's administrative costs so that we're not offloading a burden to you and not paying for it. And it will ensure that there's otherwise full compliance with state law and any of your other policy provisions that we need to abide by. The project that we're proposing, I didn't go point by point through the 3 policies and list things out. It complies in many respects with those policies as they kind of overlap one another. There's a substantial capital investment proposed here, approximately $21 million in the first phase. Again, we've not really finalized the second phase, but just based on the space planning and layout that we've done, an average cost might be around $48 million. Construction of conference facilities with 180-seat capacity. Your policy requires 150-seat threshold. I know it's important to the city to foster visitation and bring people in whenever possible, so we aim to support that. We have a very qualified development team with experience in comparable projects. As I mentioned, I represented Sammy on numerous projects around the state. He's done a number of hotels and Old Chicago deals and other restaurants, and he definitely knows what he's doing. We've seen it be very, very successful previously, and know it will be here as well. The purpose of what we're doing here, I think this isn't exactly stated in your policies, but I think it is in the spirit of it. Everything we're doing here, you know, the first phase is great. We're very excited about it. It's here and it's ready to go. But we're very excited about that second phase more than anything. And we want to create an environment where we can aggressively market to national level retailers. Sometimes people don't believe this when I say it, but sometimes the way that you land those people is you have to actually give them a free piece of property. Maybe you even have to give them a free piece of property plus something else just to come locate in your project. Why would you do that? For us, we think it's good. It helps bolster the rest of the project. It makes the rest of it more valuable. But also the incentive revenues that we're talking about offset that loss of a land sale. So if you give somebody a property for free, but you understand that there's incentive revenues there on the back end that can compensate you for the lost value of the land, you've now set it up so that you get this great tenant, even though they were national level and demanding and are able to kind of ask a lot of you, you've been able to make it happen through this public-private partnership. It's exactly what we're trying to do here. Again, we aim just more generally to continue all the growth that's occurring up there at the city's north end. It seems to me to be a very strong corridor for the city, and that property is sitting right there ready to be taken with it. I know, again, important to generate visitation from out of the city residents, people who come in to shop and dine and stay in the city. And then, again, all the unquantifiable things that I think are there and that we can agree exist, the spin-off economic benefits of jobs and even further commercial demand and housing demand, and all the exact type of things you hope come from a project like this. So, apologize, I've been talking for a long time. Last thing I'd like to end with, this is an approximate timeline. The first couple of dates are solidified, but from there it gets a little more flexible. Obviously tonight you're approving resolutions to call public hearing for the 25th. On the 25th, we'll come back and have a formal public hearing. We'll present some of what I presented tonight, but also maybe a little bit more of the detail from the documents that we've submitted to the city. We would anticipate that if you approve the district and the development agreement on April 25th, we'll come back on May 9th to again call a public hearing to consider the TIF project plan. We have to take that to the Planning Commission to ensure that it complies with the comprehensive plan. And then in June, we would have our final approval of all of this for the first phase of development, kind of holding off again that second phase till we are 100% sure what's going to happen there. So that's it. I really appreciate it. I thank you for having me out here tonight. If you have any questions for me or for the development team, we can answer them tonight, or we'd be happy to answer them in between now and the public hearing or at the public hearing. Thank you.
Just a quick note, the April 25th meeting has been bumped to the 26th. 26th.
Is that correctly reflected in the resolution for tonight?
Just because there's going to be, we won't have a quorum on the 25th.
We did change the resolution.
Okay, yeah, I think I actually remember.
Yes, it is on, it is, yes, we've
Okay.
got that covered. Any questions, any comments? I would just like to state, I want to thank the investors. Thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for your vision of the big picture, of seeing what Liberal can be, and for investing in our community, and for partnering with local folks who have called Liberal home for a long time. You've seen the big picture, and you've got a vision. I just have one question. Do you need to see other properties in town? We'll gladly show you some more property. Mr. Sammy, Mr. Willis, thank you for being here. Let Rock and Nick know we appreciate it, and whoever else is involved in the Pinnacle Group, we definitely appreciate what you're doing for our community. Thank you.
Thank you for coming. I do want to ask a question. We're going to do the approval of for the Triangle parcel. You're going to hold off on the Bartell parcel for a while?
So when you actually approve the ordinance approving the project plan, so the second part of the TIF application, that starts the collection clock. So whatever ability we have to realize on that revenue starts on that date.
Okay.
So for the Triangle parcel, that's great because we're ready to go right now. For the Bartell parcel, because we don't actually have users lined up today, we don't want to start that clock. What I think we'll do is in the development agreement, which we're still working on, it's preliminary, but we'll just specify, how that's going to occur and the timeline for that. I mean, we're as eager to get it going as anybody. So that's the immediate goal as soon as we kind of get through all this, is to really get to work on getting that part done.
Well, thanks for coming to Liberal.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
The agreement that you referred to, you're working with Gilmore and Bell, I assume?
Yes.
So,
Yep. I've worked with them before, and we get along, all right, even though we're attorneys.
yeah, I understand.
I think of this as 8, 9, and 10 altogether.
I believe we will probably need separate motions for each individual item. So right now, since they are resolutions, we would need a motion on Resolution 2258, which would set the public hearing for April the 26th regarding the Liberal Redevelopment District.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Commissioner Carlisle, second by Vice Mayor Martinez. Any further discussion? Seeing none, call for the vote. All in favor? All opposed, motion carries 5-0. Agenda item number 9 is Resolution 2259, which would also call for a public hearing on the advisability of creating a community improvement district to be known as North Liberal 1 Community Improvement District.
I'll make that motion.
Just for your information, so it's clear.
Just a second, Jeff. We do have a motion, so we have a motion on the floor.
Second.
Have a second, now discussion. So, yes.
This resolution is for the Triangle property, and then the separate district for the Bartell property. I just want to make sure that was clear, that they're not together.
Right, and that's, Bartell property would be North Liberal 2, right?
Yes.
Okay. Motion, second. Any further discussion on Resolution 2259? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Resolution 2260, which is calling for a public hearing on the advisability of creating a community improvement district known as the North Liberal 2 Community Improvement District. Again, the hearing will be April the 26th.
And this is on the Bartell property, correct?
This is on the Bartell property, correct,
Okay,
sir?
I'll make a motion, we approve that.
Motion by Commissioner Carlisle.
Second.
Second by Dave, by Commissioner Harrison. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you.
Mayor, will remind the commission that Alicia is called away on the city clerk, and we will have Sheena Schmutz attest the signing of the agreements in her absence.
Okay.
So I just wanted to make that clear.
All right, thank you. Our next item on the agenda is agenda item number 11, the SCADA system upgrade for the water department. Mr. Burke. Thank you.
Thank you.
Like I said, we got a lot of property.
Got a tour done.
I'll take
Good
the...
evening, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners. Previously, the commission had approved for our skate upgrades, and we signed a letter of intent with funding to be dependent on the revolving loan. We've since got the revolving loan, and KDHE has approved the Microcom contract. So basically, staff is just requesting that we go ahead and approve the contract and take that funding out of the revolving loan rather than out of budget.
Any questions for Mr. Burke on the SCADA system upgrade? If there's no discussion, I'll call for motion.
I'll make a motion to
Motion by Vice Mayor Martinez.
consider the SCADA system upgrade from Microcom in the amount of $119,616 to be funded by the KDHE water revolving loan.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Harrison. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you,
Burke.
Kevin.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is agenda item number 12, Pit Bull Ban.
Good evening, Commissioners. Several weeks ago, actually, you requested that I put on the agenda our current pit bull ordinance, which bans all pit bulls within the city limits of Louisville. So I did a little research, and in your packet, I provided you with some information to help you make the decision as to whether or not to keep the pit bull ordinance intact or to lift the ban. You can probably get on the internet and look for, find a lot of information, both for and against pit bull bans. Really comes down to the safety that you want to create in your community that you live in. There are a number of cities across the country that do ban pit bulls. One of the things that I want you to pay particular attention to in making your decision is I provided you with some in-house statistics as well as some national statistics. And if you look at your pie chart that's entitled dogsbite.org, that is data extracted throughout the country for 11-year period study that was done from 2005 to 2015. And if you'll note on there, of all the fatalities during that 11-year period, 64.4% of those fatalities occurred as a result of pit bulls. It's obviously exponentially higher than any other dog listed on there. I will point out that it's a national statistic that Labrador Retrievers are probably the most popular family dog throughout the country, yet you don't see them listed there as one of the specific dangerous breeds. So my concern with that is if cities across the country start lifting this ban more and more, you're going to see a rise in the population of pit bulls across the country. And if they're limited in a large number of cities throughout the country now with their death rate exponentially higher than any other breed, imagine what that death rate might be if cities across the country start lifting that ban. If you now compare that to some in-house statistics that I've provided you, you'll see that from the period of 2012 to 2016, our in-house data shows that we have no fatalities, and we only have 5 pit bull dog bite cases within this city. And I would have to attribute that to the fact that we have a ban. And again, if we lift that ban, then I'm afraid that our statistics are going to go exponentially higher as well. Now, the reason why our in-house statistics only show from 2012 to 2016 is because if you remember right, we implemented Spillman in the last quarter of 2011. So since that was an incomplete year and 2017 is an incomplete year, I'm only illustrating the full years that we have available to us. There's some other charts there that I've provided for you, one of which is a line chart showing the number of citations we've issued throughout that same time period for harboring pit bulls. Another one showed you is a line chart that illustrates the number of animal bites that we've had in comparison to all animal bites versus pit bull bites. Of the 5 bite cases from pit bulls that we've had, none of them have been fatalities. I will point out to you that in talking to our animal control officers, they had one pit bull case where a pit bull busted through the door of his residence, ran to the next door's residence, busted through the door there, and while the lady was inside, this dog killed her family pet, and didn't just kill it, but mauled it viciously. The animal control officers were able to capture this animal, and they have arguably said that this is the most vicious animal they've ever had to deal with in the history of all the animals that they deal with all the time. The animal finally had to be put down, but they couldn't control this thing without actually sedating it and putting it to sleep before they could capture it. Ironically, this animal ran past 3 children playing in the front yard in order to get at this dog inside the house. It literally busted through the door. So you get an animal that vicious, his attention's diverted or focused on a human being, and undoubtedly we'd have a serious situation on our hands. I tried to provide you with information I thought would be beneficial for you, I thought would be helpful for you. I don't know if I've given you everything that you need. I've given you what I thought would be helpful in making this decision. Keep in mind that right now we're experiencing, no real hazardous situation other than the people that choose to ignore and break the laws that we currently have. If we lift that ban, I have no guarantee of what may happen throughout the city. I have grandchildren in this town, as well as all of you do. I will not stand to lose one of my kids, and I hope that you guys have that same feeling. So the decision's yours. If you need more information, I'd certainly be glad to table this discussion and provide you with whatever you need. But I've not been presented any information in argument to lift the ban, and until we receive some information that makes reliable sense, I see no reason to move forward to lift this ban. It's in effect now. Why do we need to lift it?
Any questions for Chief Sill? Anyone else like to testify on this matter?
Thanks for the information.
Thank you.
Chief.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the info you gave us.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners.
State your name and address for the...
My name is Gary Cherry, address 730 North Washington, Liberal, Kansas. I'm here to address this issue as a whole in reference to pit bulls, dogs of a particular look that have been discriminated against. What the chief stated in regards to the number of percent of bite cases, fatalities, what have you, throughout the country. What is not fact is whether in fact these dogs were indeed pit bulls. There's over 120 municipalities that have rescinded, gotten rid of the laws and banning a specific breed based on its looks, because worldwide there's been numerous accusations that this dog involved in this attack was a pit bull, when in fact later on it was proven it was a boxer mix, it was a mastiff mix, it was an American bulldog. A large number of breeds have similar characteristics as the pit bull that has nothing to do with the pit bull. Pit bull belongs to the terrier group. There's dogs in the Mastiff group, the Bulldog group, and several other terriers that carry these same characteristics. And a lot of these cases, any dog with a certain shape jaw structure, brindle color, fawn color, involved in an attack, they immediately call it a pit bull. And several Supreme Courts have overturned these specific bans based on the fact that there is no 100% scientific proof that the pit bull is any more dangerous than any other breed out there. There's no real scientific proof. It is merely just a lot of media, stigma, hype, hold up a bunch of bloody pictures of victims and say this is the result of a pit bull attack. I was denied access to the open records policy for doing my own research on the particular dog attacks here in Liberal, Kansas. I was denied that access. Some of the information you have, what I was trying to pull the information to show out of the 182 attacks here in Liberal, how many of these breeds, how many of these attacks were done by pit bulls, the Chief Stage 5, I don't see where there's any proof of that. But let's look at, out of 182, let's look at the other 177. What particular breed of dogs were those? Where's the ban on those? One of the most recent attacks here in Liberal, Kansas was by a German Shepherd. Same dog law enforcement used as their partners. No ban on them. No ban whatsoever. If we're going to speak on 5 dog attacks, then out of 182, I think that's a pretty good statistic. Naturally, there's not any kind of ideal logic in taking a dog and saying, well, this dog has this look, his head is square shaped, he needs to be put to sleep. There's no incident with the dog. I agree wholeheartedly. Any dog that acts out in the manner, the situation you're referring to where the dog busted through the door, and I am familiar with that situation. It wasn't actually, the dog did run into the house. Didn't bust through a door, the door was open, the dog ran into the house, attacked and killed another dog. He mentioned, ran past 3 other children. Dog-on-dog aggression can hardly be deemed as the same as viciousness. 2 males from any breed will engage in a conflict. That's just alpha mentality. From any breed of dog, 2 males come together, there's bound to be a fight. It doesn't matter what breed of dog it is. So I find that kind of irrelevant to say because a dog killed another dog and ran past 3 children to do so. I find that irrelevant to say that is grounds for calling an entire breed of dogs vicious. It's not safe or ideal to say any dog that looks like a particular breed is going to be dangerous, or any dog from that particular breed is going to act out in the same manner as any dog that's acted out in that breed in a vicious manner. In all fairness, I think it's just completely misleading to the public and to the citizens in the public to assume and say, because we have this breed-specific ban, that's going to keep this community safe. I can guarantee right now, more than half the people in this city are more concerned with the drug epidemic, the rise in methamphetamine, the crime that follows, than they are of people that own a specific breed as a pet. I I'm more worried about a meth addict kicking in my door than I am somebody's pit bull or pit bull-alike dog running up and latching on to me. The fact that we've had this ban since '89, and there's only been what he referred to as 5 dogs, that's 30 plus 28 years. That's a good statistic. And each individual case is dealt with individually, as it should be. Punish the deed and not the breed.
Each one of those dog bite instances, 5, those dogs were illegal. They were illegal. They were banned at the time of the bites. That's the thing, is that's why that statistic is so low. Garden City recently dropped their ban, correct?
Correct.
What about the young boy that was walking home from school that was mauled and bitten in the head by a pit bull of his neighbors? What about Piper Dunbar, 2 years old, Topeka, Kansas, September 24th, playing in her front yard, killed by a pit bull? What about the mother and father of a newborn watching television in bed with their baby? The mother coughed, the pit bull attacked and killed the baby in the parent's bed.
Do you have proof that these dogs were pit bulls?
Yes, I can provide you with the information. Yes, they were. You can go on the internet. I appreciate the statistics, but like Chief Sills said, statistics, I can go on any side of the argument, and I can find statistics for. If I'm looking for statistics against, I can find those, both of those. But when it comes down, I did a survey since I knew this was on the agenda. Everybody I talked to, would you like to see the pit bull ban relinquished? No. One lady did say, I don't like that it's breed specific. I said, let me ask you this. Raising your 2 girls, would you like a pit bull in your neighbor's next yard? Oh my God, no. Statistics, like I said, are out there. We can all look at them, but it's the reality of what is happening, not only in our state, but in our nation with pit bulls. There are some communities that even take it further and list some of the breeds that you had mentioned as banned in their communities. Like I said, Topeka, Kansas relinquished their ban, and now they're thinking about putting it back in place because of 2-year-old Piper Dunbar, who was mauled in her front yard. I serve on a board with the mayor of Topeka, so yes, this is fact. They are considering putting it back on the agenda to put the ban back in place. Seward County in 2011 relinquished, that is a misnomer. They did not relinquish their ban. They loosened it. Pit bulls can be owned in the county. However, the restrictions on the ban, on the pit bulls, they must be registered. They must be locked up in a cage or a kennel with a padlock, or secured in a house. If you move, you have to re-register your pit bull. This was 2011. You know how, just take a wild guess, how many pit bulls have been registered in Seward County since 2011?
I was a part of that movement. I'm familiar with it.
One dog. And that was as of this morning at 10 o'clock. 1 pit bull has been registered since 2011 in Seward County. The sheriff's office knows there's more out there, but they don't have any reason to go on to property unless if there is harm done or if they're not in compliance. But the officers I spoke to with the Sheriff's Department wished that their commission had not rescinded their ban and prayed that we did not do that here in the city of Liberal.
Your Honor, unless there's somebody else that wants to testify or comment, or unless Mr. Cherry has something more to offer on this subject, I suggest that we either
I actually do.
Okay.
In particular, if we're going to keep a ban on pit bulls in general, what about the breeds that are not pit bulls that get discriminated against and fall under this unconstitutional ordinance? This ordinance is a violation of the 14th Amendment. it violates the 14th Amendment.
But in fairness, Mr. Cherry, that's not what we're here to debate tonight. We're here to decide whether or not we're going to keep this ban in place.
Well, I mean,
And there is a current vicious dog ordinance on city books to deal with other dogs that are vicious and bite. The history and precedes itself when it comes to the pit bulls, and we can go on, and we can find, these are just in the last 6 months, these stories that I have pulled in the last 6 months in the state of Kansas.
I think there can be, as Chief has stated and Mr. Cherry has both stated, there's information going both ways on this thing. Our decision isn't, or our job isn't to decide which of that is right or wrong. I think our decision is to decide whether or not we wish to maintain the ban that we have in place now. And along that lines, I would make the motion that we maintain the ban that we have in place.
I don't wish to get rid of the ban all the way around because I'm aware of.
I got a motion there.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Second, okay, you may continue in the discussion phase of the motion.
I don't wish to get rid of the ban all the way around because I do understand there's individuals that are not going to be 100% responsible for their pet. But for the responsible pet owners, I would recommend there be some restrictions, just like they did in the county. If you own a pit bull, it should be in a special enclosure. If it's not in the house, it should be in a special enclosure. I wholeheartedly agree with microchipping the dogs and registering them with the city. That way everyone who owns a dog, it's known. And to those that don't follow through with the restrictions or anything that they're supposed to, deal with them individually. The animal control can still continue to do their jobs instead of basically showing up to take or harass people for their pets. They can enforce you are not being responsible in owning your pet.
I appreciate your comment. I'll call for the question.
All right.
And I would like to make a comment, if that's all right.
Absolutely.
And Chief Sill, I appreciate the information you brought forward. You're showing that 348 people got bit in 11 years and died. That's 31.6 people.
Didn't die.
Huh?
That's not deaths, is it?
It says right
Okay,
here,
okay.
during an 11-year period, 360 Americans suffered death. But when you add up the deaths, down here in this column, it's only 348.
Okay.
Okay, in 11 years. That's 31.6 people a year out of 335 million. Okay? The dogs that you've listed on here, the German Shepherd, the Huskies, the Bulldog, I've owned all them dogs. Okay? I've never had a problem with any of them. I do agree probably the pit bull is more aggressive when it comes to, but a lot of that would have to do with how they're raised. And do I feel sorry for the people, Joe, that died? Yes. I do. But, I also remember one time a German Shepherd on a collie in my neighborhood almost killed its master. That was when I was growing up. We already have a vicious dog. I do think they ought to be registered. Okay? I think if there's a problem, they ought to be put down. But as far as the ordinance going now, it's too big. I have a problem with the ordinance now. If you want to tighten the ordinance up, I'd probably be in favor of that. But it's way too vague.
Can I make a quick?
Yeah.
Mr. Cherry, you're very passionate about your deal here. I really have a lot of respect for you, and to be honest with you, I did a lot of research. I looked at a lot of the stuff, the information that the chief gave me, and I did a lot of looking up, and I was on the fence, I really was. But my decision comes from the statements that were made by families that actually raised pit bulls forever and said, my dog was never vicious, my dog never did anything, my dog was a baby, my dog was a part of the family until it turned and killed my kid. There's several stories on there, but that's what's got me, is I would never want to be responsible for, because I've had dogs all my life too, I'm a dog lover. But if my dog, if there was any chance at all that it could just turn one day and hurt or kill somebody in my family, then it's too much of a gamble. But that's where my information, my vote is from families that actually had them and were dog lovers, pit bull lovers, and experienced a tragedy.
I have a call for the question. All those in favor of upholding the ban, signify by raising your right hand. Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, 1 against. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is agenda item number 13, retirement of police service dog Rex.
Commissioners, our K9 Rex has been with us a number of years now. He's 88 years old. He's reached the end of his service life. Our K9 handler is recommending that he be retired. In doing so, though, we are obligated to find a good home for him to be adopted. And Officer Juan Diaz has volunteered to do that if and when we do retire Rex. And it's our recommendation that we go ahead and move forward with that. And in doing so, if you elect to do that, we'd also like to request that you allow us to continue with the K9 program and search out available options to replace Rex with another K9.
Any questions for Chief?
Your Honor, I make a motion to approve the request.
A second, Tim.
Motion by Commissioner Harrison, second by Commissioner Aragon.
Carlisle.
Okay.
Get that ugly all of a sudden.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. That was Commissioner Carlisle. Apologize. Next item is City Manager's Report, agenda item number 14.
Mayor, Commissioners, I think we're seeing an end to our tree program, getting those picked up. We're still actively, we are doing more work in the parks, and I appreciate the Parks Department, the Street Department, and of course Water and the other departments. But we're going back through and doing some of the work that we put on the back burner. It is one of those that we do see in the end of the year. If there's any, and on behalf of the city and behalf of yourselves, if there's any person needing assistance, disability or that, if there's something that we miss, please call. It is one of those that we have been reaching out. We went back over that list, but it is one of those that we'll always listen and try to help. But that's finally, so we can get on to things and soccer fields and all these other things that we've kind of put on hold. But I want to thank staff for working so hard on that project. Of course, thanking them for getting ready for the new season. We have high school, college, everybody starting up on their sports. So we're getting already activity, but thank them all for their hard work. And if there's any questions, please feel free to ask.
I just want to go back to the limbs. I got a call today. There's a couple of piles on North Clay Street that are right there next to the road. Just as a heads up, I told them that if they weren't picked up in the next few days to call two down.
And there's some on right there, 11th and Pershing.
We've noticed some people that are.
And they've been there since day one, and I'm thinking, okay, how soon are they going to be picked up?
11th and Pershing.
It's on it is on Pershing. I remember seeing those also driving up Pershing.
We have had, like I say, part of our program, we've been through the city twice.
When the winds blew
Yeah.
a week ago,
Put a lot more on
people started
gravel.
dragging them back out.
Yeah. And, you know, like I was telling the lady this morning, we could do this for another 6 months if we did, but we've got to have a wrap-up point soon.
But
and,
we'll look into that.
Yeah. But I would encourage people to call if they haven't been gotten yet.
Yeah, we've, the alleyways, we went through and saved till last, but we went through the entire city twice. One being that the first group, we started it immediately, so we knew that there would be limbs afterwards. And then finally, we finished up going through the alleys. We know there is some that, like you mentioned, it'll never end, but it is one of those that anybody in need, I think is like the county, you do have to have a stop period, you know, but if there's somebody in need that cannot dispose of those or something like that, please give us a call and we'll get out and we'll check those addresses.
All right, any other questions for the city manager? Items from commissioners. We'll start with Commissioner Aragon.
Well, I'd like to thank the city staff for all you do. I know you're busy, and I know they left, but thank the Pinnacle Group. I think that's awesome that they're going to want to make an investment in Liberal, and I think there's some good things happening. So that's all I have.
On to Commissioner Carlisle.
I think I'll agree with Mr. Aragon here. Thank the city staff and the Pinnacle Group to make North Side of Liberal bring something in, you know? Too long a field.
It'll be good to see that other than a Walmart bag catcher.
Yeah.
So, all right, Commissioner Harrison.
Echo their comments about the Pinnacle Group, and I'd really like to thank Jeff Parsons, our Economic Development Director. I know how much time he's put in on this thing, probably closer to 3 years than 2, actually. But once we finally got a group kind of identified that had some interest, I think there's been a tremendous amount of sharing of information and goodwill that's been given by the city staff to that group. And people always talk about how Liberals are unfriendly and uncaring. I think if you would ask any of those folks that are associated with Pinnacle Group what we're like to work with, I think they would change your mind. If you've heard some of the negativity out here from the city, I don't know what you call those folks. I guess they're the negative portion of the city, but I think you can talk to the folks with Love's Truck Stop. I think you'll hear the same thing from them. The folks with Wendy's, I think you'll hear the same thing from them. The folks at the newest hotel, which is the, what's the name of it? Fairfield Inn. I think you'll hear the same thing from them, what the city's like to work with. And I don't understand why people that don't have to work with people to bring people in want to say that we're hard to work with. If a person has that kind of an issue, there's 5 folks sitting up here that can get you to the right people where you're not going to have some problems, I think. So that's always been I felt like my job to do here is to bridge that gap if there is a problem. Very seldom is there a problem. And I gotta give thanks to all the city staff that makes that happen. That's it.
All right, thank you, Dave. Vice Mayor Martinez.
I too want to thank the staff for what they did. I had a friend came through Liberal that used to live here, and he complimented me how the Main Street looked and the town looked real clean, and things were changing in Liberal. So maybe it takes somebody's opinion from the outside. We take it for granted what we see every day. So things are happening. Thanks to that Pinnacle Group. I'm excited about that new stuff going in too. I wish that TIF program could go down our Southgate Mall. I think that's blighted.
If somebody wants to.
Yeah, if somebody wants to do it, we'll
If
help
somebody
them
wants
out.
to do it, their TIF will be available, yeah.
That's all I have.
Could I have one more shot?
Sure.
I want to thank Mr. Ash for coming tonight. I think all of us sitting here know how important the Air Museum is to a lot of people in this community, and our commitment to the Air Museum is every bit as great as it's ever been, in spite of what may be being said. It is very unfortunate. The young man that was here as a director, I think we were all very excited by him and some of the things that he had to say, but fact is he chose not to stay here, and that was his decision. And I would just like to make sure that everybody's aware of that he made the choice. So that's it.
All right, I just want to reiterate something that I did say earlier in regards to the Air Museum. Next Saturday will be the robotics competition. I've had the privilege of working as a volunteer for the last 2 or 3 years out at the Air Museum. Then I was over at the Activity Center. I believe it was back at the Air Museum. But man, to see the excitement of these young kids as they're working with their robotics, and these aren't remote control type things. These are actually computer programmed robots, and they have a specific task that is set before them every year to make their communities, make this country better. And a lot of the experiments, a lot of the robots have already been implemented. The group from Perryton, Texas, a couple of years ago, before they even came to the competition, their community had taken their project and put it in place in their community. It's exciting to see these young minds at work. When something doesn't work right, they surround each other and they figure it out. And to see that brain power at work, knowing that that is the future of our area, of our community, is exciting. So please come out and spend an hour in the afternoon when the competition is going on. A lot of the morning stuff is the younger kids, and then the interview process and the explanations and things like that. But when you see those kids surrounding the table, it's amazing. It really is amazing. So next Saturday at the Air Museum is where that will be at. I want to thank city staff, of course, for all that they do. You know, when we talk about the Pinnacle Group, we cannot thank that group enough, but it took city staff working with this group, from the economic development side to the administrative side to the finance department, to everybody just working together to, and I hate to overuse this term, but to continue to unlock that toolbox and offer new and exciting incentives like the TIFs. Never been used here before. They've been used in other communities. To use these things to bring growth to our community. But with that being said, I would encourage our existing businesses to also inquire with Jeff, with city staff, on programs that are available to grow existing businesses. There's some of those available as well, to beautify your property, to expand. The CID is open to any business that wants to improve. The facade program, just see what we've got, and just get on board, and we're going to see things happen. Again, would like to see more groups like the Pinnacle Group. We joke about the south end of town, but that's not a joke. We would like to see somebody come in that cares and would like to see us grow from north to south to east to west, and make Liberal as strong as we can. So I guess that's all I've got. So, but thank you. Next item will be the vouchers.
Your Honor, I make a motion we approve the vouchers in the amount of $462,273.16.
Motion by Commissioner Aragon.
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Carlisle. Any further discussion on the vouchers? All those in favor? Motion approved 5-0. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.